Welcome to Domcon 2021. I'm Tara, Indiana, and I'm excited to announce that this is going to be the first year that we're doing a Dominatrix Hall of Fame. And so we are going to be inducting some legendary mistresses tonight during opening ceremonies into the Hall of Fame. And I just wanted to make sure that this was documented as we sign the certificates. Madam Quinn, would you be so good as to bring me the certificates? And Mistress Kaya, would you be so good to bring me the pens? So, the first one is Eva Terrell. She founded the first very high-end dungeon in New York in the 80s. She is being inducted posthumously. Belle Jour, she founded the first commercial dungeon as we know them in New York in the 1970s. She also only passed away last year at 100 years old and doing sessions. Lady Laura, who founded the Dominion, the first commercial dungeon in Los Angeles in 1980. Mistress Domino, original headmistress of Nutcracker Suite and founding member. Mistress Jacqueline, who founded the magazine Power Exchange, a femdom-oriented magazine. Mistress Mirror, the First Lady of Domination, one of the very first superstar person of color who is a dominatrix in New York. Mistress Olivia Akula, who founded the Fetish Chamber and will be inducted tonight. Patricia Marsh. She's based in Canada and has done a lot for the rights of both sex workers and the BDSM world and has a fantastic dungeon there, which I'd love to go to sometime. And a personal friend, Mistress Sheree Rose, who brought social acceptance for the first time to female domination in her performance art and work with her late husband, Bob Flanagan. Stephanie Locke. There is an argument that Stephanie Locke actually had the first dungeon in LA. I'll let everybody duke that out later. An amazing bondage mistress. When I first got started and I was in New York, I heard all about her amazing bondage, even though there was no internet. That's how powerful her bondage was. And of course, dominatrixes name themselves. They give themselves titles. We take a lot of liberties. So it wouldn't be out of the realm of things to crown myself, so I'm inducting myself into the Hall of Fame. And there I am, Tara, Indiana. So I just wanted to thank you, Madam Quinn, for presenting me with those certificates. Here is a pen that I signed with for the occasion. And Mistress Kaya, here is a pen that I signed with. And I hope that one day you too will be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll see you at opening ceremonies for the inductions. Bye. And this is the gold-leafed custom single tail that each mistress will receive tonight.
Give
Why the Dominatrix Hall of Fame when we already have the BDSM Hall of Fame? This is something, I mean, I've been wanting to do this well, I have been wanting to do this for a while. It's something that should have existed and no one was doing it. So that's what makes you a Dom, is that there's chaos and confusion and someone has to take control, so that's what I did. But anyway, the reason is, it's super highlighted by this pandemic this year and just sort of some trends in the industry with Sesta Fosta and everything that's been going on. We have lost so many of our femdom spaces. When I started the Den of Iniquity in 1994, I was competing with 29, there were 30 dungeons in New York. When I left in 2006, there were 8, and now there's 1. This year we lost Dungeon East, Ivy Manor, and probably a couple of others. Lair de Sal, yeah, does anyone want to call out how many dungeons? We lost almost all of them. You know, we've got Sanctuary and Dominion. No, that's gone. Yeah, we lost the Rubber Studio, Parthenon in New York. Anyway, dominatrixes are really a core part of the BDSM community, certainly in terms of we're the attraction, right? We're when people come to the parties to see what we're wearing, what we're doing, and how we play. But I think because we're dominatrixes, there's sort of this idea that we don't need to be honored because we honor ourselves. But we do need a little pat on the back sometimes. So anyway, most of the people that I'm going to be inducting in the first year of the Dominatrix Hall of Fame are going to be inducted posthumously, and some of them you may know, and some of them you may not. But you're here today, whether you realize it or not, because of these women that came behind. I'm tying this into the Legends panel, which I know many of you have been to. So basically with the Legends panel, legend is a notorious person or a tale that is old and considered to be true, somewhat of a tall tale. And a dominatrix is sort of both of those. So with that, I'm going to not speak too much because I know we don't have a lot of time, and I sort of want to get the inductees inducted. So first of all, do I have my assistant, my lovely Jewel Marceau? Oh yes, of course. So the lovely Jewel Marceau will be handing out the awards. And I'm going to try to talk a little bit about each of these women, but it's going to be hard because, you know, we have a limited amount of time. So the first person that I want to induct into the Hall of Fame is Mistress Sheree Rose. Would you please come up to the stage? For those of you who don't know Sheree, she is the widow of Bob Flanagan. And she did more to make femdom and S&M socially acceptable at a time when it was dangerous to do so than most women I know. And I think that kind of says it all. Sheree?
Well, thank you. It's amazing to be here. I'm turning 80 years old in September. And I met the love of my life and the best slave. I would put him against anybody, Bob Flanagan. I met him Halloween 1980. We were together until his death in 1995. And I'm sort of retired these days, but I still keep my whip hand in occasionally. So thank you very much, Tara. Very honored.
Oh, wait, I forgot. And all Hall of Famers are going to get the golden single tail. Yeah. Okay. So the next inductee is Mistress Belle du Jour, and accepting on, and we're inducting her posthumously. I want you to know that she passed away last year at the age of 100 and was doing sessions till the end. Belle Jour opened the first commercial dungeon. Lilith Katz is going to be accepting on her behalf. The first commercial dungeon in New York in the 1970s. And some of the mistresses we're going to be inducting after her started at Belle Jour and went on to open their own places. So, do we have Lilith? Did she take it already? Oh, Ain accepted. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, Ain Patrick accepted on her behalf. Okay, sorry. Are we? My phone is locked. Give me a second. The next person I'm going to induct is Eva Terrell. Lilith Katz, if she is here, will be accepting for Eva Terrell. Let me tell you a little bit about Eva Terrell because I knew her. Eva Terrell started her career at Belle Jour, and then she went on out on her own and opened the Eva Terrell Institute, which was the first high-end domination service. It was an out-call service, they had in-call too, but it was the first sort of upscale domination service, and she passed away, I think in the mid-2000s, swimming in the ocean. She drowned. She'd been a professional swimmer, and you know that sometimes the best swimmers are the ones that drown, right? But she went out the way she lived her life against the current, and so let's honor her tonight. Another mistress who will be on the Legends panel but is going to be participating remotely is Mistress Mirror. Mistress Mirror also began her career at Belle Jour and then went off on her own and was really, her title was the First Lady of Domination, but she was the first POC mistress to really make a big name for herself at a time where it was incredibly difficult to be a mistress of color, at a time when most dungeons did not hire mistresses of color. And so she went out on her own, and she opened her own dungeon. It was never a house where mistresses worked for her, but she had a notorious dungeon in New Jersey that people came from all over the world for her notorious play parties, and her rubber and leather collection was never to be outdone. So who'd like to accept on behalf of Mistress Mirror? No, you're getting an award, so somebody other than who's going to get an award. Ain, why don't you accept on behalf of Mistress Mirror as well? And yet another mistress out of New York that isn't talked about enough. We tried to find her. She is still alive. We don't know where she is Mistress Domino. She founded the Nutcracker Suite in New York with Robert Flutie. She was the original head mistress of Nutcracker Suite, and she's the one that originally trained the Doms out of there. And a lot of notorious Doms came out of there. Mistress Avalon, Isabella Sinclair, the list is going to go on and on. So I think it's important to honor her. And who would like to accept on behalf of Mistress Domino? Maya.
Kaya, sorry.
Kaya. I was like, who is Mistress Maya? It's okay. The next mistress that we're going to induct is going to be Mistress Jacqueline. She owned Power Exchange, and she was a very famous spanker, for anyone who might remember. She had this incredible magazine. She was a female dominant, and she created a publishing empire and a video empire, and I learned how to spank hard from her. So anyway, we couldn't find her, but she is inducted. And then we've only got, okay.
Karen,
And then, yes.
Mr. Simon would like to take that award for her.
Yes. Give it to Cyan. Patricia Marsh. Mistress Jacqueline, yeah. Patricia Marsh, a very well-known dom's got an incredible house in Canada. She couldn't be with us tonight, but we are inducting her in absentia. She's done a lot of activism on behalf of dominatrixes as well as sex workers, and has a great facility. And then, here we go. We're going to do the live people now. I am very, very honored and excited to invite Mistress Olivia Akula up to the stage, the Russian Domino, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Mistress Olivia has trained a lot of dominatrixes and shares her information freely, and is the founder of the Fetish Chamber, and I'll let her say a couple of words if she'd like to.
I'm so humbled. It's such an honor, and just we love you. Thank you. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Many of these DOMs are going to be on the Legends panel, which I believe is at Sunday from 3 to 4. During the Legends panel, they will tell the story of their first professional session and a dominatrix tall tale. A dominatrix tall tale is a tale so tall that only another dominatrix would believe it really happened. So that. You all know what it is. Anyway, so, I forgot. There's no one else who can do it, so much like Caesar, I'm going to crown myself and induct myself into the fucking Hall of Fame.
Wow.
So our next inductee is a mistress that I have very special feelings about. Mistress Stephanie Locke. When I first started as a dominatrix in New York in 1989 at a party at Nutcracker Suite, I remember Robert Flutie bragging about what an incredible bondage mistress Stephanie Locke was. This is back in the day when there was no internet, and I was in New York. So when you hear about a mistress from LA in New York, that really says something. And with that, I would like to present induction into the Hall of Fame for the infamous Mistress Stephanie Locke, accepting on her behalf.
Thank you. This is an honor for me to accept this. My name is Simone Devon. I've known Mistress Stephanie Locke since she was 21. Her first day as training for mistress, I met her. And she's an amazing, amazing woman. We've been friends forever. And I know Robert Flutie, and I know a lot of these people. I talked to Steph today. She wanted to be here desperately, but she had problems getting in, flights and all of that. So she wrote something, and with your indulgence, I'll read it to you. By the age of 9, I knew I wanted to be a mistress. I was thinking in the Cleopatra Anne Boleyn style, but then I found my dad's book, Scream, My Darling, Scream, and realized I didn't need nobility at my feet in order to become a mistress. All I needed was leather and a dungeon. After that, I looked for dungeons everywhere, and in time, the nobility knelt. I had my first submissive when I was 16, entered a dungeon at 17, and at age 19 began my tutelage under Grand Mistress Honey of the Padded Cell. I was headmistress by my 20th birthday and owned my first dungeon, Club O, before my 21st birthday. Since then, I've created and owned many more dungeons, including the Private Quarters and Capricious. I've dominated thousands of men, mentored hundreds of women, and created countless fetish film stars along with my countless fetish film stars. Mistress Stephanie is not one for actually doing great punctuation. She's an amazing mistress, but her punctuation's, okay. Along with my two closest friends at the time, Eve Howard and Simone Devon, I fostered the spanking, bondage, and fetish communities in Los Angeles for well over 30 years. I'm the proud creator of the word fetishist, and the first woman to be photographed in a fetish magazine wearing eyeglasses. That took a sit down with mafia publishers. It's a joy to be included with my friends and peers. Lady Laura, I miss you, and I hope you're smiling down on us today. To those of you starting out, if you'd like to still be in the dungeon 20, 30, 40 years from now, like me, follow your passion and be true to yourself. Thank you for this wonderful moment, Mistress Stephanie Locke. If I may add just quickly, what set Mistress Stephanie Locke apart was her heart. She wasn't someone who just went into a room with someone and did a session. She cared about every entity, every person whom she dominated. She has more heart than any mistress I've ever met, and I've met many by myself. She spoke 5 languages when I met her, and she would do sessions all in German, in leather, and speak German to them. But I would walk into her dungeon one day, and there'd be a 6'4" man with a full bushy mustache and a sissy maid outfit. This was just the way she lived. It was her life. And she loved these people. She loved who they were on the inside, and she supported who they wanted to be on the outside as well. So she's an amazing, amazing woman. And a few words just couldn't possibly do her justice. This is a wonderful honor.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Anyway, I just wanted to thank Cyan for making this possible, Porcelain Midnight, the whole Domcon board, and everybody that facilitated this and made this space available so that we could do this. Wouldn't be possible without her. So thank you so much, Cyan.